My first question we love coming to church. I get that our church is protected by our Constitution, but my home isn't. And we've had lots of conversations about, should we have a gathering? Shouldn't we? How does that look to our neighbors? What are we saying to our, neighborhood and that sort of thing? So I'd love some guidance on that. My second question is, I have really enjoyed reading through the Old Testament because obviously what we're going through now is really not a big deal in light of the span of history. But I wanted to get your recommendations on going deeper into studying the major and minor prophets. I just wasn't sure which resource to choose. So thank you.
Well, let's talk about the first question. We obey the law. We obey the law. We're called on to obey the law that is passed, duly passed, and we are bound by those laws. So we drive according to the law. We function in terms of the economy according to tax laws, things like that. We live with honesty and integrity. We do what we can to honor the government. What we're all experiencing now is not law. It is whimsy to some degree, because the rules change constantly. They're moving the goalposts every day. So I don't think the Lord expects us to do anything that would be destructive to our families, to our lives, based upon some demagogue coming up with some ridiculous idea and trying to hold us to it. I received the other day a health department memo, 14 pages long, and it was so bizarre, it was so strange, there were so many requirements. I thought it was from the Babylon Bee because it didn't even make sense. I think we want to be law-abiding, but we don't want destruction, and we don't need to roll over and accept destruction. You're asking a question that was asked and answered many times during the Second World War. If you're Jews living in a ghetto, do you hide when the Nazis come? Do you Diary of Anne Frank? Do you hide somebody so the Nazis can't take the person and execute them? Do you have a Bible study when Bible study is forbidden? Do you still come together and study the Word of God? When things that are not laws, but are being imposed on us that have negative effects on our lives or try to conform us to other lies, I think there needs to be a sensible resistance, common sense. We don't protest. I wouldn't advocate that. We don't want to be known as open, flagrant rebels. But I think in a gracious way, in a loving way, and not as we saw this morning, not complaining about what is going on as if God had done something wrong in allowing this to happen, but accepting it as the time and the place and the purpose in His will for us now. I think we live our lives sensibly, reasonably, thoughtfully, and freely, and don't allow ourselves to get bound up in things that are not law. And even if laws are made, if they impose upon the prior responsibilities for our worship of God and the care of our family, then resistance has been the pattern throughout all of human history. Underground churches, people living underground lives. I had many trips, 10 or 11 or 12 trips into the Eastern Europe area, into Russia and places like that, and I watched a whole culture literally operating underground so that people could survive. So I don't think that you can roll over every time some authority tells you to do something when that authority may not have the right to do that. But again, you don't want to be rebellious. We've tried not to be that way. But we will be faithful to the things that are our priorities. Family is a priority. I don't know what you did on Thanksgiving, but I hope if you have a family, you came together for Thanksgiving rather than believe that you were bound before God to follow some ridiculous order. They may get more ridiculous, right? So with common sense and with joy and with measure of grace, you do what is best for your family and what honors the Lord. Okay.